Okay, so let's look at this problem 21, question 21. And I'm just going to do one part of each here. So it says that the mean is 36 days. It's got a bell-shaped distribution with a mean of 36 days and a standard deviation of 4 days. Part A says find the z-score. All right, so we're going to find one of these z-scores. And then part B says find the percentile. All right, so those are the two tasks we have here. All right, so I don't know, this middle one, 35 days, looks like the most complicated because it's, I don't know, negative 0.25 is the answer. So let's do that. Let's see if I switch here. Let me get the info here. So the mean is 36 days. The mean is 36 and a standard deviation of 4. All right, so the mean is 36 and the standard deviation is 4. And part A said find the z-score for, what was it? The z-score for 35 days. The z-score, this is part B actually, of what's the z-score for 35 days? Okay. To find the z-score, you need to memorize this equation. Z is equal to x minus the mean all over the standard deviation. And in the problem, they have to give you all three things. All right, this is the mean and standard deviation of the distribution. So 36. The standard deviation is 4. All right, I just plugged those in. Now, the thing that's going to vary is your x value. So what is the z corresponding to 35 days? So you're going to have 35 minus 36, which is a minus 1/4, which is equal to minus 0.25. All right. So going back to the problem here, that's how you do all three of these. This part A, except we put 35 in the equation. On this one, you're going to put 38. On this one, you're going to put 46. And what does that actually mean? Z is equal to a minus 0.25. That's saying that 35 is a minus 2.5 standard deviations from the mean, which is 36 days. All right? Let's go back here. That's saying if this is, the mean is 36, if 36 is right here, then, and this is one standard deviation away, like this is one standard deviation here. All right? It's saying that 35 is 0.25 standard deviations to the left of the mean, about right there. All right? So the negative means that the x value is to the left of the mean. All right? Okay, so the next point here is select all of the lifespans that are unusual. So any z-score, these are all z-scores right here, that is greater than 2 or less than minus 2 is unusual. Why is that? Because that means it's, here's 2, 1, 2, all right? And going this way from the mean is 1, 2. That means it's outside of 95% of the data. Remember, the empirical rule says that 95% of the data is between two standard deviations from the mean. So if z equal minus 2, it's right on here. But if z equal minus 2.5, it's out here, which means it's unusual. Anything beyond 2 is unusual. Anything beyond 3 is very unusual. So 2.7 here, that's unusual. 3.1 is very unusual. Okay? So let's go back and get the second part. Now, once we have the z-score, it says find the percentile. Find the percentile. That's the next thing. Let's do that. So let's just let's do this 28. That looks a little odd. The 28-day fruit fly corresponds to a percentile of 3. All right, let's do that. So the first thing we're going to do is find, so what is that? Z is, X is 28. 28, okay. So X is 28. What's the Z that corresponds to 28? So the Z-score is equal to X minus mu all over sigma, which is 28, minus mu is 36, divided by 4. And that's going to be a minus 8, minus 8 over 4, or a minus 2. All right, so the Z-score for 28 is a minus 2. Now, where is that on the graph? It's right here. This is 2 standard deviations from the mean. Let's say the mean here is 36, and the standard deviation is 4. So that would be 32, and this would be 28. You could use these numbers if you want. This is the graph of the X numbers. If you wanted to use Z-scores, you could. This is Z, and Z would, in this case, be minus 2, which is, it's at the same place. It's right here. Now, here's how you find the percentile. The percentile is all of the data to the left of your Z-score, all right, or your data point. So what's the percentile of 28? Well, it's all of the data to the left. That includes 2.35% of the data and 1.5% of the data. So we're going to say 2.35 plus 0.15. So I'm just adding these numbers. And I get, as it's carry the 1, that's 4, 5. So that's 2.5. And the problem says round up to the nearest integer. So we're going to round this up to 3. So in other words, the percentile of 28 is the 3rd percentile. And why is that? Because using the empirical rule, we know that 2.35% of the data plus 0.15% of the data is to the left of my score. If my value is over here, like what's the percentile of 36? What's going to be 34 plus 13.5 plus 2.35 plus 0.15? That, if you add all those up, that comes out to be 50. 50, that's the 50th percentile. And then you can tell that's right in the middle. If it was this one here, if it was 32, it would be 13.25, 2.35, 0.15. Let's see what that comes out to be. 13.5, 2.35, and 0.15. So that's carry the 1. That's going to be 6, 9, another 0, carry the 1. That's 15, 16. So that's the 16th percentile right there. Something here is the 16th percentile. If I wanted to use the Z-scores, I would get the same numbers, like 28, as we saw, was a Z was a minus 2. So we use the Z-scores down here. That's the minus 2. All right. So I would add this percent of the data in this, and it's not written out here, but it's the same as these numbers, and I would have add these numbers, 0.15, 2.35. I would add those numbers, and I would get the same result, 2.5, which rounds to 3. So that's where I'm getting the 3. 44 is 98%. 40 is 84%. And where are those on the graph? Well, one standard deviation is, what's the, 40, 44. All right, if you added up all of these percentages here, you would get 98. And you could see you would get 98. If you added up all these, you would get 84. And it would be the same if you changed to Z-scores. It would be how much of the data is to the left of Z equals 1. Right? Because 40, Z would be 40 minus 36 divided by 4 is 4 over 4 is equal to 1. So this 40 would correspond to this, and it would be the same percentage of the data. So you can either use the 40 or use the 1, and you'll get the same thing. I hope that made sense. Let me know if you write me if you need more help with that.